Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox, and you just want to hit the like button before we get into this one. Remember how Humza Yousaf said that he was definitely not a loser? This was about a couple of weeks ago when someone said he was a loser, and he goes, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm definitely not a loser. I am not the one that you should immediately think of when you hear the word loser." And then how we laughed because it was revealed that he'd lost 9 elections on the trot, by-elections on the trot. Well, let's say that he may want to re-evaluate that position of not being a loser, because after a by-election last evening, the results are in and he lost again. 10 on the trot. What's worse, and what will heap pressure on him from members of the party, is not only did the SNP lose, they came third, and they were beaten by Labour and the Greens. And so the Greens were up against so you got the two partners in government fighting each other. Labour had the most first preference shares, but still didn't win. Second preference shares counted, and the Greens got it with the second preference shares. So it goes to show that you have a constituency where most people would prefer Labour to win, and yet Labour didn't win. It goes to show that sometimes this first past the post system could somehow be better, but that's a different video for a different day. Humza lost, the SNP were knocked into third. It must surely be time for him to consider his position. Let's take a look. So, more misery for Humza the Loser Yousaf as the SNP slump to third in a Glasgow by-election. Now, Glasgow, he's in Glasgow. The SNP are strong in Glasgow. Apparently, allegedly. Not anymore. They're weakening gradually and quickly. Well, say gradually, it's quickly. And come the general election, when it is first past the post, it's going to be Labour. It's going to be red Glasgow. The SNP are going to be handed their arse in Glasgow. The Scottish Greens won the seat, despite Labour winning the most first preference votes, as the Nat leader oversaw a 10th by-election defeat in a row. And remember, folks, he's not a loser, allegedly, in his mind, apparently. There he is. See that look? That's a man who gambled on a fart and lost. Anyway, Humza Yousaf's miserable run of by-elections continues on Thursday as the SNP slumped to third. Honestly, I told you you're going to like this video. Third. They couldn't even manage second. Anyway, it came amid a surge in support for Labour, who took the most first preference votes but lost the seat to the Scottish Greens. Labour were technically defending the seat, but the single transferable voting system used in Scottish council elections can often skew the picture. But in terms of first preference votes, it suggests to all that it's all to play for, in Glasgow ahead of the general election. It's those first preferences that you need to look at, because that gives the indication of where people's voting intentions are. And yes, it's going to be Labour virtually all across. I don't foresee Glasgow having a single SNP. They may have one maybe, and that's only because there's one. I think there's one constituency where there is a large majority. But I think even if they retain that one, it's going to be a very, very much reduced majority. Anyway, the result will likely see the SNP pressure the Green allies to step aside in Glasgow seats, a move that would threaten to destroy the Greens' credibility as a serious political party. They're not a serious political party. Have you seen their manifesto? It's a joke. That's not serious. Everything they do is failure. They're completely mad. Oh, a serious party, my backside. Anyway, the Labour vote increased by almost 10% as the party's candidate Ruth Hall won 31.9% of the votes cast, a 10% jump. Now that alone will put the fear of God into SNP members up and down the whole of Scotland, and they will know that this is a direct result of two things: one, Humza Yousaf, because he's a moron, and two, Robertson, because if Humza's a moron, I'm running out of words to describe her. But Humza has no political nous whatsoever. And he does, without fail, make the wrong decisions every time. Shona Robinson is just literally a buffoon. IQ of 86, hasn't got a clue. And you see it in her face. You know, it's like a rabbit in the headlights. You ask her a question and it's, don't know. Literally hasn't got a clue. Anyway, with the Greens picking up the second preference votes from the SNP supporters, Sinead, I'm going to presume it's Sinead Hoy, secured the party's first ever by-election victory at any level with 31.5% of the first preference votes. Close. SNP candidate Malcolm Francis limped home in third with 24.9. Here we go. Here's the things. Now, there's a few independents, and that we'll mention. Honourable mentions. So all the big four, Scottish Labour, Scottish Greens, SNP and Conservative, all just, in the case of the Conservative, highlight those, retained their deposits, got their 5%, retained their deposits. But, yeah, it's very close. So the result, of course, was 31.9% Labour, but the Greens get it because of the second preference. Alistair McConaughey, Independent Green, Daniel O'Malley, Scottish Lib Dem, and the Lib Dems, poor old Lib Dems, 2.6%. I wouldn't hold my breath hoping for going back to your constituencies and preparing for government, like David Steele said. And Ryan McGinley, 0.5%. He's an independent. He was never going to get anything. You guarantee. 22 votes. I bet they're all family members. Or the bloke down the pub. Anyway, both the Green and the SM... Do you know, I'm just looking at the numbers. That's tiny numbers, isn't it? Only 1,298 people voting for Labour. It's a small ward, perhaps. I don't know. Or maybe people just couldn't be bothered. Anyway, both the Green and the SNP vote was down. The Greens will be delighted to have scored or bagged the win. I don't know. Take your pick of the word. And the SNP may be privately pleased that their vote was only down by 3.7%. You're pleased that you came third. Interesting. But the wider picture ahead of the UK vote later this year confirms a Labour resurgent in its former heartlands. Incredibly, it was the 10th by-election defeat at local and UK level for the SNP since Yousaf became leader back last year. Now, he hasn't quite made the year yet. Is that it? Yeah. He hasn't made a year in the role yet. And there's been 10 by-elections. He's lost all of them. It's lose after lose after lose. And yet there he is. And he still thinks that he's not a loser. We know he's a loser. You know he's a loser. I know he's a loser. The vast amount of members of the SNP know he's a loser. Every other political party knows he's a loser. The only person who doesn't believe he's a loser is Humza Yousaf. This is why he'll be gone. And that result, at the 10th, they're going to have words. There's going to be words. And it's going to be quick. I don't know if he'll see the year. I'd love him to fail. I'd love him to not make a year. That would just be the final humiliation for a loser. Coming up. He must be sitting there this morning, chewing on his cornflakes and thinking, what have I got to do to get a win? What have I actually got to do to convince people that the SNP are credible, that I am a natural-born leader, that I've got charm and charisma, and that people can look to me with hope and confidence that I know what I'm doing? No, I can't think of anything either. Sorry, Humza. Because they don't. They look at you and all they see is someone who hasn't got a clue what he's doing. He's failed in every job. They see someone who is toxic, someone who is anti-white racist, someone who would rather give money to foreign Muslim countries than look after the people for whom over he was elected. He seems to have his priorities in all the wrong places, and for whom at every point, with every decision he's ever made, has always, without fail, made the wrong decision. And that's why he's a loser, and that is why he's going to lose the next election, the general, and that's why he'll be out on his arse. If not before the general, then certainly immediately after it. Can't wait. I'm actually looking forward to the general election now. It's going to be a great night. I'm going to get the beers in. I'm going to get snacks in. 10 o'clock. Boom. Stick Sky News on or something. and then just sit there and watch as the results come in and the potato heads waffle. But it's great. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Till next time, stay safe, stay well, hit the subscribe button, and I will speak to you later. Bye.